Morning, good morning. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so sad that I feel like the last round I missed all the best parts of class. I missed, those days in week 4, which are my favorite weeks, and then I missed the mock check ride, which I also love. So I get it. Uh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Good morning. I'm gonna pass around a sign-in sheet. Everybody could just sign it for me. Great, thank you.
Dave was saying that for some reason our class, our morning crew
Yeah.
class is like different than the past. It's like, how so?
It was a really good class
Yeah.
because y'all brought the energy. Y'all brought the energy.
Well, it was a combination of a lot of.
I bring the energy too. I bring the energy too. But y'all bring the energy. And it's like good, it's good collaboration. It's like good vibes in here. Not all the ground classes are like that. So it's really nice. It's really nice. Yeah.
She was always asking where does the energy come from? And we had to say, oh, it's probably from Canada.
Like it's definitely not the content. Good morning, everybody. Let's see. Did I start the actual Zoom? Let's see. Morning, Christopher. Happy Monday. Let's see. Share.
That's Discord. Is there any chance I could have that?
Yeah. You're not in any of the Discord, or you're not in the IFR Discord?
I'm not in the.
Yes, if you go to the one called like rating select, or there's like a channel called like rating select. It's the top. Yeah, rating selection.
Oh, okay.
That you can put yourself in IFR right there.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what you said.
Yep. It's a self-service option here. Yeah. All right, y'all. What time is it? 7:04. Wow, we're late. Good morning. We're gonna get started. I'm Neil. Welcome to those of you who are new. We're returning again. We're back to week 1 content, so we get to start it again. Some people, it's your first time in IFR class, yes?
Yes.
Great. And for some, it's your 5th, 4th time.
Third?
A third round. We love it. We love it. So whether it's your first day, your 3rd round, welcome. Really, really happy to have you. We're going to start with just a little bit of introductions, because part of the purpose of being here together is, building some community together. Morning. And so we want to kind of get to know each other, especially because there's some new faces. So we're just going to go around. I'd love for you to share your name, where you live, where you are in your training, and kinds of aircraft you've flown during your training. Larry, will you kick us off, please?
Sure. My name is Larry Wong. I live in San Gabriel Valley, which is next to LA. I did my training, my PPL out of Van Nuys like 11 years ago. So I'm back here.
You've been logging that sweet PIC for a long time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now I'm doing IFR types of aircrafts. I've flown Cessna 172, Cherokee Piper, and now Great Sling.
Yes, indeed. Amazing. Welcome back.
My name is Chris. I live in Inglewood. Started training near school. The only aircraft I've flown are slings.
Nice.
I've been in like one Cessna. I think it was like a 172
Nice.
as a passenger.
So you're not familiar with the beautiful mixture control?
No, I seen them like move it. But
Yeah.
What's
You're
that?
like, theoretically, I understand the mixture lesson. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Welcome back. Otto.
My name's Otto. I live down in San Pedro. I flew Diamond DA40 for my PPL.
G1000?
G1000.
Beautiful. Nice.
And right now all I have left is the check ride for me.
Congrats. And are you new to Sling?
Yes.
Great. Is like today your very
It's
first
my
day?
First day.
Welcome. Amazing. Great. Your academy, yeah?
Yes.
Awesome. Welcome. And G1000 Diamond. Great. Cool. So you know the mixture. And was it a adjustable pitch prop too? Speed prop? Yeah, right. All the diamonds are amazing. Cool. Good. All right. Well, then you two can talk. Yeah. Great. Raul, morning.
And next Raul, I live here now.
You said that with such resignation.
It's
It's not bad. Yeah, I live here. Training here. I used to train in Bakersfield in Cherokee with steam gauges. Yeah, I'm flexible.
Another child of the mixture lover there.
I know these.
Yeah, there we go. Love it. Nathan.
Same future, in my training for the PTO. Trying to finish some records up. Was pretty bad. But, sometimes I gotta get ready for check bag. And then, I've flown with a sling, and when I was little, I used to fly assessments at North Sea.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I had a South Bay.
Cool. Oh my God. So Torrance is like your home airport. Right. Oh, welcome back. Stuart.
Stuart, I'm from Palos Verdes. I'm starting my instrument flight part. I've only been doing sim so far, but I think my phase check's coming up, so I need to get my a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
And I've only flown slings. I haven't flown anywhere else besides Torrance.
Amazing. Love it. Love it, love it. Welcome. And yeah, no longer working on private pilot.
Yep.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Congrats. Sean.
Yes, well, hi, my name is Sean. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay. Where are you in the training? Same with Stewart. Yeah. IFR, PBL's done. Yeah, struggling a little bit with the ground stuff, so hopefully that will be picked up. Yeah. So the aircraft, besides students, only slings.
Nice. Welcome. Welcome. Justin.
Hi, good morning. I'm Justin. I live in Arson. We just got our PPL check rides maybe a couple of weeks ago and I just finished up PPL training. Here for IFR, I've only flown slings as well.
Wait, did you already pass your PBL?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Good. Good. My name's Neil. I live in Mid-City, LA. So I have the honor of a long commute like you, Larry, to get here. But I love it. And I love teaching this class for a lot of reasons. In part because I was exactly in your shoes last November. I came in with my private pilot. I got it in Santa Monica back in 2022. Actually, just last week was my 3-year anniversary of becoming a private pilot. I have a buddy who reminded me. She like has a note on her calendar every year. She's like, "Happy Private Pilot Day." So sweet. I should probably put your private pilot day on my calendar. And I did my first 55 hours of training in a Piper Sport Cruiser. There's also a light sport, Rotax 912 ULS. So I also did not know anything about the mixture for my first 55 hours. What's that?
It's the same engine?
Same engine. Same as engine as our ULS. Yeah, that was my first out of Santa Monica Flyers. And
I think it was
yeah, exactly. All the Tango Whiskies are ULSs. It's you won't fly those in instrument training because they do not have a GTN 650 Navigator. But once you get commercial or those of you in private, everybody flown the ULSs in private. I just flew my first one with a student like a couple weeks ago. I was impressed. It's like, oh, I remember you. The guys and all that jazz. So that was really fun until I had sort of a harrowing experience after a lot of other sort of irregularities in that plane. And we had an incident where I lost partial engine power after takeoff. Real life. We do the that takeoff briefing every flight, right? We lose power this, lose power this, lose power this. Real life happened to me. We did come back around and do a very tight pattern to land on runway 21. And my instructor let me fly it. Never forget that to this day. He just coached me through it, came back around and landed safely. And here I am.
it was like 2 cylinders.
Fuel contamination. We sunk the pumps. We sumped. We did all this stuff in the pre-flight. And even afterwards, they sunk more and I couldn't find anything. And maintenance was like, we don't know what happened. It's good. Send it. And then the next flight, same thing happened, except they weren't able to do a full pattern. They had to do a 180 return runway 3 and made it. And then they drained the tanks and there was like water caught in some crevice in some part of the fuel system from rain that had come the weekend before. So, we trained for these things and things happen. Anyway, that same week that happened, I got into a flight club in Santa Monica. And I sort of felt like it was a sign. Like, okay, I'm close to a PPL check ride, but I think I'm done with this particular moment. So I transitioned to the 172. I got my private pilot 100.0 hours on the dot. I finished my check ride with Captain Stanley. PPL. And now I'm in a flight club in Santa Monica. I fly the 172. I now actually instruct the 172, which is a lot of fun. We have a 182. We have a DA40. It's not G1000 though. It's steam gauges, which is fun. Not very many of those. And we've got a couple of Cirruses, which I don't fly yet. But I love flying the Sling. Love flying the Sling. So fun. You got to get so good at stick and rudder. You actually have to use the rudder like some of these planes. Just all of our glass and everything makes it such a pleasure. So part of the reason I love teaching this class is because instrument flying is the foundation for the rest of our careers. I'm making an assumption, y'all being in an accelerated program, we're becoming professional pilots, right? We're not just going to be taking our friends up and down on the weekends for sightseeing, but we want to do this as a profession. And every single flight that a 121 carrier takes is an instrument flight, even on the most beautiful crystal clear days. So I get a lot of pride and satisfaction out of hopefully setting up a good foundation for you all for the rest of our careers. Also, there's some self-incentive involved because I expect and hope that maybe we'll be sitting in a flight deck with each other in an airline someday. And I want you to be really good at your procedures so that it's a good flight. That's a little bit of the background. We'll be doing more stuff like this in the coming weeks, in the coming days, this first week, just to kind of build community together, especially because it's 7 a.m. and it's we should have a good time as much as we can. Just some expectations about the class. I do try to start on time. Today's a little rare to start a little late, but we will start at 7 o'clock. I'll make every effort to do that. If you are unable to come in person for some reason, we do stream this on Zoom. Oh, actually, that reminds me. Let me pause here. And Nani, let me turn it over to you to introduce yourself and do the things we just did, because I see you on the Zoom. Are you able to unmute yourself? Let's see. Oh, good.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Go for it.
My name is Nanjali Rivera. I go by Nani. I live in Torrance, and I have my first phase check coming up this week
Nice.
in IFR.
Nice.
And I used to fly a Cherokee 140.
Good. Love it. So welcome. So if you are for example, not feeling well, sick, just watch on Zoom. We welcome that. If you, otherwise we do expect people to come in person. I designed the class for it to be in person. Zoom is sort of like a backup if you need it. And it's there if you do. I also think that Zooms are recorded and stored somewhere. Has anybody tried to watch them recently? Sometimes there's a little delay in getting them published, but I'll show you all those resources in a second. Great. For those of you who are coming for the first time, we do welcome you and expect to come for the full 5-week section. Those of you for whom you've already done a full 5 weeks, you're welcome to sort of pick and choose based on the syllabus. I want to, refresh on departure procedures. I want to refresh on this. You're welcome to come and go as you please. And you're also welcome to come every single morning. We love it. Chris can attest to that. You're a stalwart. You're a stalwart. I look forward to seeing you every morning. One more thing that I will mention on this is the class is designed to really supplement some of the other learning that you're doing, both in your King schools and with your instructor. So if this is the very, very, very first time you're ever hearing about, how the altimeter works, or the very, very first time you're ever going to hear the phrase departure procedure, it's going to be okay, but it'll be more helpful in this class if you've watched the King schools already. So I do recommend, we'll take a look at the syllabus, try to stay up on those videos, because then we can use this time to clarify, go deeper, actually put some of this into practice. Because watching a video is fine, but your check ride is not going to be watching the video. Your check ride is going to be the DP asking you questions, and you have to apply the knowledge. So I want to try to take us to a higher level of rigor in here. And in order to do that, you got to do some of the home study on your own. Any questions on that? Do you have access to Kings yet, Otto?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Any other supplements for that to help get that started?
I love you. Y'all will know, you've done already. I'm a big fan of Flight Insight, the YouTube channel. I just think he has some incredible IFR content. Occasionally I disagree with him, but 90% of the time I think he's right on. So I really recommend him. Some of the other more reliable sources, Bold Method is a pretty reliable source. Who's that guy who says perfect landing starts with a perfect pattern? M0A. Who's that guy?
Is it a perfect approach?
the perfect, yeah. No, he says, did he say perfect landing starts with a perfect pattern? Perfect. I'm getting it wrong. Whatever. I think that's M0A is that channel. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And then there are a couple of good study guides that I recommend. Flight Insight has one, and Pilots Cafe has one. I think both of those are good. They have very similar content. But they're both I would recommend. Anybody else have other thoughts on that? Stuff you find helpful?
Both method is pretty good.
Shepherd Air for the written. Nathan's 100% right. 100% right. That's Shepherd Air will not teach you the content. Shepherd Air will get you a 90% or better on the test. And then that means an easier check ride. So definitely recommend. Yeah. You're doing Shepherd, right? How's it going?
Just gonna take a couple more practice tests today.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Your instructor maybe will give you an endorsement. I'm Raul's instructor. We didn't know. That was the check. Yeah, Shepherd Air is definitely the way to go to get. Who else has passed the written? Larry, I know you have. Who else has taken the written instrument? You yet? Okay, cool. So, and you have or have not yet, Nathan? You're about to. Okay, good. So I definitely recommend Shepherd Air. You had another resource you were saying? No? Somebody back there was.
No, I was just gonna say both method is.
Bold math is pretty good. Yeah.
What are the other written tests we're supposed to be taking at the same time as this one?
Yeah, it's recommended to take IRA, which is Instrument Rating Airplane, and FII, which is Flight Instructor Instrument, on the same day.
Unless you're Moon.
Unless you're Moon, and he's taking all. Is he taking three?
He took all
Yeah.
3 in the same time.
There's three instrument tests, right? There's IRA. That's the one you must pass in order to take your instrument check ride. It's like I think 70 questions, something like that. You got to get 70% to pass. If you roll into your check ride with a 70% and a list of error codes this long, it's going to be a hard ground. That's why it's important to get 90% or better on your ground, because the DPE is required per the ACS to cover every single error code on your check ride. So if you come in with 15 error codes, it's just going to be a potentially longer check ride. The second one that's recommended for those of us who are in this path is FII, Flight Instructor Instrument. This one I think is only 60 questions. It's a little shorter, same 70% to pass, but this is the written that's required for your CFII add-on. Why do that now when CFII is not for a number of months? Because it's almost exactly the same question bank as IRA. So save yourself the time. You've already studied. You've studied like probably 98% of the questions that are in this question bank. You're going to get a couple of instructor questions. Maybe there's only 3 choices. If you can eliminate one through the process of good test taking skills, you got a 50-50 shot. Again, if you're doing Shepherd, you already should roll in with at least a 90%. If you miss 1 or 2 instructor questions, so be it. You'll be ready for that Shepherd.
What's the third one?
The third one is called IGI, which is
IGI or IGH?
I thought it was IGI, Instrument Ground Instructor. So there's a cert, right? This is for your Instrument Rating Airplane. That's what IRA stands for. Flight Instructor Instrument, that's to add instrument to your Flight Instructor cert. And this one is Instrument Ground Instructor. There's another cert that's just gives you the privileges to teach ground. And some people will get that. If you pass this, which again, same question bank, I think this might even be like 100% of the question bank from this one. From IRA, if you pass this test and you pass one called FOI, Fundamentals of Instruction, which is basically like the FA's version of learning theory, it's required before you take your CFI initial. If you pass this and this, the IGI and the FOI, you can make an appointment at the Flight Standards District Office, FSDO, and then over Zoom, they will issue you an Instrument Ground Instructor cert, and then you will be legally licensed to teach this class. It's kind of wild.
Isn't there like another one for pilots?
There's a couple for private. There's advanced AGI is advanced ground instructor. That covers all of the stuff, all the way through commercial, and CFI.
You have them.
I don't have either ground cert. I'll get you in a second, Nathan. The what's cool about the privileges of the CFI cert and the CFII cert is that per 91, 195, so check me on those. If you hold a flight instructor cert, you can also exercise the privileges of the related ground instructor cert without having the ground instructor. That's what allows me to teach this class. Yeah. 195, I think.
So that, yeah, also can't push, so this, IGI and FOI just like credit, just like props to you for doing.
Yeah, so why would you want a ground instructor cert? Is that what you're asking?
Just exercise.
Yeah, that's why I haven't gotten one. There's a program, a CFI program called Gold Seal, where the FAA will give you this sort of like extra, I don't know, gold seal. And in order to become a Gold Seal CFI, you have to achieve a certain amount of things, like a certain pass rate, a certain number of students who you signed off who passed on the first time for a practical test, certain number of hours of dual given, and you have to have a ground instructor cert. So you can't become Gold Seal without the ground instructor cert. The other reason people take it, and I don't know if this is maybe Moon's, if you already hold if you already hold any kind of instructor cert, including ground instructor, oh, coffee's kicking in, I love it, including the ground instructor, when you go for your CFI initial, they go much lighter and maybe can even skip area of operation 1 of the CFI ACS. This is all like gobbledygook language. There's a section, the first section of the CFI practical exam is on fundamentals of instruction, like all of the learning theory. And so if you already have a ground instructor cert, they technically can skip. They can still cover it if they want to, but they're not required to. So some people believe that by having the ground instructor cert, it makes the CFI initial ground easier. Well, I guess, yeah, CFI initial ground easier. It's a long exam. CFI is definitely the hardest check ride I've ever done. Just for its sheer length, it's 9.5 hours. Like most of which was in this room with the DP, me on the board. Like, it's
Also, CFI, you have to, for CFI, you have to maintain that certificate.
yeah, you got to do stuff every 24 calendar months in order to maintain currency. And actually becoming Gold Seal is one way to reset your currency.
So then I would think that for like the older folks
Yeah,
who can't maintain the CFI or doesn't want to like fly,
yes,
just wants to teach the
Yeah,
ground,
yeah.
probably just get.
totally. There are also different record keeping requirements. So as a flight instructor, I'm required to keep a record of everyone I sign off for a practical test and how they did on the practical test. I'm also required to keep a record of all the people I sign off for written tests and how they did on the written. But ground instructors are not required to do that. So anybody taken King's and gotten an or any kind of online ground school and used the endorsement from King's to go take the written, I did too. You notice that when John King signs it, he signs it with his AGI or his IGI rating, not his CFI. That way he doesn't have to keep the record.
It doesn't.
We're getting super in the weeds here. Bottom line is, this is the most important one to take. And I strongly recommend you take this before you get to your approaches phase check. Eric Trapshoe, our chief of instructors, was in class a couple weeks ago, and that's what he recommended as well. So strong recommendation, get that out of the way before approaches, because what happens is approaches phase check, final phase check is basically a mock check ride. Like it just goes real fast after your approaches phase check. Strongly recommend take FI on the same day. You don't want to study for this test a second time. This is 1,400 questions or something in the bank. It's the most questions of any written. So just take them all. If you think you want to be Gold Seal one day, like Moon, grab the IGI. And also the same
Also,
same
You
question
don't
bank.
really need the IGI.
You do not need IGI unless you want to be an instrument ground instructor. Unless you want an instrument ground instructor cert, you do not need IGI. It's not required.
So you don't have one?
No.
Oh, good.
No.
I mean, they have experience in
And
that.
you'll save money.
Yeah.
I was like, $175. I don't need to take it. It's fine. This one you need an endorsement. This one you need an endorsement. Interestingly, the instructor ones you don't. I don't know what the logic is there, but you do need an endorsement for IRA. Anybody can walk in off the street with their ID and take the FII if they want to.
The IRA is 1,400 question,
The question bank is a little over 1,400, I think.
and the FII is 7.
Is that so? Okay, but I think it's from the same, like they take that 700 from the 1,400. right? Yeah,
Test expired.
24 calendar months. Yep.
So you have to take it every.
If you have to arrive to your check ride having passed the written. Your written score has to be within the past 24 calendar months. So if you're like, I'm gonna take 3 years off, probably not gonna be in this room, unless you have something terrible happen in your life, then you should take the written now.
Okay.
Yep. Any other advice, Larry? I know you took all the tests like before even starting here.
Yeah, like you said, take the IRA and the FII if you can. And you have the time, I would say FOI is fairly easy.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not as hard as IRA.
The FOI you said is not as hard? Yeah. I was exempt from taking the FOI because I have a teaching credential. My background, my professional background is as a teacher. I taught middle school here in Los Angeles and then worked in the nonprofit sector for the bulk of my career until now.
That's really cool.
Careers.
Like,
Yeah.
get exempt from the FOI.
Yeah. If you have a valid teaching credential or you teach in a state college or university, you get exempt from FOI. Yeah, almost. So I cannot, from personal experience, say that. So I'm glad to hear.
So what do you do? Like you saw the FAA?
I rolled in with a copy of my teaching credential to my CFI check ride.
Oh.
And actually, Martin, who's one of the DPs who's done a lot of check rides here, he said it's the first time he ever got to check off that box in IACRA. So, didn't do that. So hopefully that's the only first that'll happen in this check ride.
Overseas.
The what?
Overseas.
I'd have to check. That's 61, 197. Double check. Might be 190. I think it's 61. We have Chris and I have this game. He's really good at regs too. So I think it's 61. It's either 61, 197, 195, or 190. It's in the 190s. Cool. So please do take your written. I recommend like you've been using Shepherd. How's it gone?
It's kind of long, but
More generous than I would have said. My experience was it's a pain in the ass and super boring, but results. I got a little more than 90 on all my scores because of Shepherd.
IRA is the only one with the cheat sheet.
From Shepherd.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
The commercial, the FY, all the other ratings.
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have cheat sheets.
Yeah. I didn't really use the cheat sheet that much. They do have a 14 or 15-minute long video about the HSI questions. I watched that a few times. Anyway, take the written. Please do take the written. You do not want to get caught in a situation where you're holding back from a final phase check because you haven't passed the written, and no instructor here should be giving you a sign off for a final phase check until you've passed the written. So pick 2 weeks in your life when you're like, all right, looks like a storm's coming through, or I have some more free time in my life, and just pick a date. I recommend you just schedule the test. You can always move the date. You can always reschedule or cancel with 24 hours notice. Just put it on your calendar. That's when I'm taking it. And then study as if you're taking it that day. 2 days before, if you're like, I'm not ready, you can move it. No harm, no foul. All right, that's my recommendation.
61, 185.
Wow, I was off by a whole 10.
It's
Okay.
passive knowledge test on the average listing. That's the teacher credential issued by the state, county, city, or municipal that before authorizing the person to teach at an educational level of 7th grade or higher,
Oh, it has to be 7th grade.
It has to be 7th grade or higher.
and is employed as a teacher at an accredited college.
That's it. It's an or.
So it has to be like in the country.
I guess so. And what's Charlie? Because the third one is or.
Hold either commercial, highly certified.
No, sorry. In that same reg, there's three exceptions for FOI. The first one is you've got the teacher cert for 7th grade or higher. The second one is you're employed as a teacher at a college, university, and the third one.
Grounding certificate.
There you go. So that's the third exception. If you already have IGI, if you already have your instrument ground instructor cert, you also don't. Well, you've already taken it. You have to take the second. Yeah. Cool. All right, team. Good. It's good we covered that.
Do you know 95?
No. What's that?
You don't know
Oh, wow. I'm getting shamed. I'm getting shamed. What's 91, 527? It's 91 or 61? 527? Oh, flight into known icing. We pulled this up the other day. We pulled this up when we were talking about icing in week 2 last year. I don't have that one memorized. Kate, yeah.
Katie, we were talking about it, and then Moon stepped outside for a second, and within that whole thing we stepped into it, and then Ethan, they split them into groups, and then they had their group had the icing, and then Ethan was like, "Vicky," and then Moon was looking at him like, "I didn't know about it."
Oh my God. It's like, what happened?
I said the right.
Yeah.
91.5.
Uh-huh.
And then Moon's like, no, that's not the right.
Yeah, like, you're wrong.
I was like,
No.
look it up. Wait a minute. I think
I love the nerdy jokes. No one else would get that. That's awesome. That's
Try
awesome.
bringing that at a bar.
Exactly. I was like, where's the pub trivia night for 14 CFR? Come on. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Cool. All right, y'all. Those of you who are new to the course, I just want to make sure you know where all the content is. This is the Sling Pilot Hub, hub.slingpilotacademy.com. If you don't already check this out, it's probably something to bookmark. If you go here to the Student Hub, this is where you'll find a bunch of information, including the all-important check ride request form. So when you are ready for a check ride, that's the form to fill out for that. You'll also, if you're ever going to be out of town for any period of time, fill out a leave request. That way scheduling knows not to put flights on the calendar for you during that time. We'll talk about the frat probably, I can't remember if that's later this week or next week. But the thing to really cover now is this ground school information. This is where you'll find our schedule. It's also, if you scroll down here, if you go to the instrument ground and expand that, it's where you'll find our Zoom link. It's where you'll find our class archive. It's where you'll find the class materials. Class material, this will have a link to a Google Drive. This has our syllabus as well as all the slides. So if you ever want to reference that, that's how you get it. Hub.Sling Academy, student hub, ground school information, instrument, course information. So here's where we are today. This week is all about just sort of getting a handle on things like human factors. We're going to talk about the basics, basic instrument attitude flying. We're going to talk about instruments and instrument failures, as well as, okay, so risk management is this week. So we'll talk about the frat, looks like Thursday. Lost comms, I think, belongs later, of course. We'll cover that. Maybe we'll cover it this week. Because I don't know, did we do, Larry, did you do any 91, 185 deep dive last week with Kate, Lost Comms?
we glanced over it. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll spend a little time this week there. Anyway, that's the syllabus. Week 2 is departures as well as weather. Week 3 is automation and systems. Week 4, favorite week, approaches and cross-country planning. Week 5 is all review. Sick last week, so we didn't get to do the mock check ride. I plan to do that in week 5 this round. Cool. Any questions about the course? Great. Let's get into the content then, see if I missed anything. Otto, who's your instructor? Do you know? Okay. So I'm just curious. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover illusions as well as basic instrument attitude flying. So this is a little bit of private pilot review, but the reason we're studying illusions again and kind of refreshing our mind is because, you know, our bodies were not designed over the eons of evolution to do the act of flying through a plane. We were designed for chasing rabbits and running through a field and maybe swimming across a river. But our physiology is not adapted to the act of going 100 knots without any kind of visual reference to the horizon. So these, all of these illusions and physiological limitations of our own bodies really come into play in instrument in a way that they did not come into play in this quite the same way in private. Couple of just physiological things. Remember the middle ear sinus congestion. If you've got sinus congestion, it can block eustachian tubes, which can make it hard to clear pressure differences when you fly. So don't fly congested. Here's the inner ear, eardrum. You've got this inner ear here with all of these different little structures in them, 3 different structures, each of which are filled with, do I have an image for this? Where's my, thought we had a slide. Yes, there, we do have a slide. Outer ear, middle ear, inner ear. The inner ears has these 3 semicircular canals, right? One in the x-axis, one in the y-axis, one in the z-axis. Nature thought of that before mathematicians, as well as all the eardrum. Inside these semicircular canals, they're filled with this like kind of viscous fluid, right? And that viscous fluid, as I move my body, moves as well. Then there are these sensory neurons that have sort of like little tails that almost look like little hairs that kind of stick into that fluid, and they move with the fluid. So as the fluid moves, the little hairs sort of sway in that ocean, and they then send electrical signals to our brain, which allow us to keep our balance. That's the vestibular system, our balance system. The issue is, as I mentioned, it's not designed for instrument flight. So some of the things that happen in this semicircular canal while we're flying by reference to instruments do not match reality. And these symptoms, particularly like spatial disorientation, are very, very powerful because, again, over eons of evolution, our bodies have learned to trust the signals coming from this. Learn to trust. So overcoming that is really, really hard. Yeah. Something I know.
It's fun fact, it's AIM 8-1-5.
Stop. Really? Wait. No, you're making that up.
No, BS.
Really? What? AIM what?
AIM dash 8 dash
8 8-1?
No, 1 5 8 1 5.
What's chapter 8 called? What's the title of chapter 8? Oh, okay. Aeromedical factors. Stop it. Really? All the illusions are 8-1-5? Amazing.
It's also in chapter 17.
What?
And IFH, the
Instrument Flying Handbook?
yeah. In chapter 1.
Okay, I love this stuff, and I'm so glad you brought it up because the DPE could ask you, how do you know about the inner ear? You don't want to say, because Neil told me at 7 a.m. on September 20, whatever this is. AIM 8-1-5, or you could just say AIM chapter 8, aeromedical factors. Pilot's Handbook for Aeronautical Knowledge, chapter 17, aeromedical factors. Instrument Flying Handbook, chapter 1. There you go. Boom, 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 boom. Also on a check ride or a face check, if they're like, tell me all the illusions, and you're like, I forgot one. You are fully allowed to pull out any of these FAA sources and set and go for it. So that's really, I'm actually really glad you added that. It's really, really helpful. Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah.
Ice flag.
All the ice flags, which we're about to cover. Great. Great.
But it's yeah, the PHAT talks more about the inner ear, but the AIM is more like what ice flag is and how it connects to you. This ice flag is all connected.
Exactly. 6, 8. 6. Perfect. Okay, great. Here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to put you in pairs, and you're welcome to. We basically just want to do a quick review of ice flags, right? All the illusions, and particularly talk about how they apply to instrument flight. I'm going to put you into pairs. You're going to get assigned 2 of the illusions that together you're going to just review. You can use any of those resources there. Love it. You can also use the slides here. There should be a slide for every illusion. There's a couple that are slides also that I'll do. Just take a couple of minutes for this. We won't make it too extravagant because I do want to spend at least the second hour on basic instrument how to fly. Sound good? Okay, great. Let's just count off 1 through 4. How we start us off? 1, 2, 4. Those. 3, 4. Find your partner. This is going to be the 1s. This is going to be the 2s. This is going to be the 3s. This is going to be the 4s. and I'm gonna walk around and help too.
What's in your mind? And not watered down. It keeps it out of school. It's very cold and. Explain.
Or these graveyard spiral that I see about a
Oh, the inversion.
Ours is. It's graveyard result of. Once outside correctly, it's your. I put them up here, can't take a bunch of yourself.
And then we put the thing over out of there. The feeling that we're gonna like hold to that. So we have an exploration of it.
There's certainly it's acceleration. Yeah, this is accelerating from one generation. Yeah. I back to level one and let's say I heard. Yeah, and this is something we maybe instead I'm always like, oh, it's not we can hold the world on. Yeah,
And the baby.
often some buttons to that. That's like that. But when you plans. Back. I was like,
Are you running kick?
body was that one.
You're what? You're two?
But back to. We get I'll work to that.
Wait, which ones are you guys doing? You guys doing student shooting different ones?
Look out.
What are you doing?
Like I'm doing or.
So
we're walking forward to also.
You're doing like your choreos. Yeah.
So elevator plates.
Same as. So I think we scored. Yeah. So we said that's achieve. We don't want to then one thing just the orientation for the event or anything.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's it's basically regards things static, which you can take up to stop of the system. Amazing. I'm really good. I have a say for example. Yeah, I think we're going to look at this. See if that. So it's stall. From the Pittsburgh. Medical facts for pilots. All these real, false horizon. Oh yeah. Elevator. Amazing. Article. Yeah, article. Version. Oh, surprise. False horizon version is like so.
I didn't make it.
Oh, let's say what? Right. I dropped the morning or that for yeah, it's that for you. Yeah, but since it was still not a phone, it's going to be so
Oh, I think this is the one where, so, let's say we're on the bank. So we're on the bank, because we're finished in the bank, and then we turn to straight and back. We still think that we're in the bank, so we're gonna keep turning like this.
yeah. If you also put them to where all your. Acceleration is sort of it's like linear, receiving and you're gonna have to say. Pulling back. Straight. So.
The sudden head movement experiences.
For it's here, it's already been principles. Second, like stimulate the joint. And then the first line, just the one is letting you level off her. The other one is the training these things, back to like roll a step by for a while. I was like, anyway, it's a great place. I'm in the urban loss, but hopefully during my story, I'm going to hear him. Well, that's sorry, I was.
Just roll up the day like sticker and inside it. Just give them all the. I'm not gonna even say that. Oh, that's eight. That's one. That's.
I would pay anything.
But it's more like this one's so sweet.
They canceled mine.
Whereas there's something where you just.
Like they said that. My.
Stuff that it's like 5 hour movie is the obvious steps of this thing like yeah easy. I was just saying position. Yeah, I don't think this. Yes, it's not. Both. Sorry, sorry. Alright, so.
You just did your check for me, straightforward, yeah. Finish it up.
You schedule this fire.
You'll schedule.
Yeah, I was just start you. February. I did like. Yeah. Light or a couple flights like. So I went back, he's like, it was good as. The best show I've seen. There's different levels of. You guys got to the second level, right?
Yeah.
You guys get a training?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody sign in. Maybe sign in. Perfect. All right, y'all, let's come back together. I put up AIM 1-8-1-5 on the board, which is exactly this content. It's exactly this content. So shout out Larry and Chris for noting that. Cool. Let's go through these together. You guys were number one.
No,
You guys were number. Even I messed up now. Talk to us about I and C, please. Cool. How does it happen?
So that is the feeling when we're pitching up and then we suddenly have the illusion that we're stumbling backwards. So that would then make us want to start putting our nose down.
Yeah, I think that's more of an. It's not quite
It's just
elevator.
when we quickly pitch down from pitching up, it creates a sense of going backwards.
Exactly, right? So when you're, say, for example, what the slide says, you're like climbing and then you pitch down for straight and level. And as you pitch down for straight and level, you're like, oh, I'm falling backwards. I'm becoming inverted. I'm becoming upside down.
So then you try to pitch.
So you try to pitch down more and then problems. So that what's happening in the inner ear, right, in all that fluid filled spaces is that all of that liquid, right, it's actually stable. Like when you're in a constant rate climb, your ear feels like you're not moving at all. Then all of a sudden you introduce motion by that pitch down, and all of that liquid now starts to move. And so that's what's causing that illusion, is that there's no movement. Your body, again, not adapted to this thing that we're doing. It's like, cool, we're just literally sitting on the ground. Like it feels like you're just sitting on the ground. And then you pitch down, boom, that's what causes that. Anybody experienced the inversion illusion? You have. What was it like?
So the analogy that I use to remember this.
Yeah.
It's a roller coaster,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So when you're cresting the hill, the top of the roller coaster.
Yeah.
As soon as you climb, and then right when you come off that hill, you feel like your stomach and everything up comes up.
Yeah.
And it's the same with opposite coming down the roller coaster. You feel like your head is tugging forward
Yeah.
and everything is bottoming out, like bottoming down.
It's actually such a good analogy, and I'm gonna start using that myself. So thank you for bringing it. Because and one of the things I think we can tease apart is like, how does the inversion illusion play out in instrument flight, right? Like this is all PPL review we're doing right now, right? But what's unique about instrument flight? So in the roller coaster analogy, you're sort of like VFR, right? Your eyes are open. So because a lot of these illusions actually, the portion of our brain that's devoted to, this cognitive neuroscience I said in college, right? It's actually a huge part of our brain that is devoted to sight. Way more neurons for our vision than for any other sense. That's part of what's allowed humanity to progress the way we have, right? Like we have actually these organs in the front of our faces are extremely good. And so when you have your eyes open, if you have some kind of vestibular illusion, the brain can kind of correct for that by your vision, right? It's sort of like vision will override that sense. The roller coaster is the extreme part of that, right? So you still get that illusion even with your eyes open. If you ride an elevator with your eyes closed, a roller coaster with your eyes closed, that's more like instrument flight. You have no visual reference. I've never ridden it. Has anybody done a roller coaster eyes closed?
Space Mountain.
Oh, that's true. It's more like Space Mountain. It's like designed that way in the dark. Okay, the Imagineers at Disney were like, we know about all these illusions. We're going to take away your vision. That's going to like make your inner ear go wild. And that's what's going to make this ride even more fun.
That is great.
It's a great analogy. Good. So that's part of it, right? So extra risk in instrument flight. We don't have any visual reference to sort of reset these illusions. So it's extra risk. Cool. What's the antidote to the inversion illusion?
Trust your instruments.
Trust your instruments. Or put on the autopilot. No joke, right? I shared with the class last round, like, I have a personal minimum. If I'm going through hard IMC, I'll be for marine layers one thing. If I'm going through like hard IMC, like for, I'm like cruising through the clouds, I have a personal minimum. I will not fly an E6 autopilot. Because first of all, it's exhausting. Second of all these illusions, the autopilot does not have. There's no inner ear in our GFC 507. Cool. All right. Any questions on inversion illusion? Take us to C.
Coriolis.
Cool. Otto, talk to us about Coriolis.
Effect is when you're in a steady turn, you start your head suddenly, and then it's like you're doing a maneuver, like you're rolling climb moves.
Yep. Basically, I couldn't have said it better myself, right? You got inner ear fluid, you're in a constant motion. That inner ear fluid is moving the same direction. Then you change your head or you change the motion of the plane. Even the example here is you drop your pen on the floor and you lean down to pick it up. Even that can be enough to send the fluid in that inner ear moving and can make you feel all.
Have you ever done like a steep turn and you move your head and you get like a sharp pain on your neck?
I've never had that. But I definitely had disorientation.
Like I think it was, I don't know if it was like me pulling G's, but like I was doing this like a steep turn.
Yeah.
And then I moved my head and all this just like I don't know.
Maybe that's 8-2- something. I never had that, but definitely a steep turn. Steep turns, we don't do an instrument fly. Well, there is actually something in the ECS around steep turns for instrument, but no one does it. But for private and commercial, you have to do steep turns. It's primarily, it is a visual maneuver, right? So you need to be looking outside. You also need to be scanning for traffic. So if you ever you're in your steep turn, most of us are looking straight ahead at the horizon, right? Am I at my 45? I'm at my 50 degrees, depending on if it's private or commercial. But if you then turn to look for traffic in the direction of your turn, and then you look back, you can feel the Coriolis illusion. Okay. Cool. What's the antidote to the Coriolis illusion?
Trust your instruments.
Trust your instruments. Trust your instruments. Cool.
P Heck was talking about getting good cross check.
Yeah, exactly. Which we'll talk about next with our basic attitude instrument flying, right? But exactly, trust your instruments. Tomorrow we'll talk about how all the instruments fool us, but the antidote to this is trust your instruments. Nice. Great. Any questions?
So it really only trust you. I thought it was like just don't move your head.
Yeah, there's other things you can do to prevent it, right? Like don't move your head around. Like if I drop my pen, knowledge of these illusions can help us prevent them as well, right? So for example, I dropped my pen. Well, I'm not going to be like quickly moving it, right? I'm going to be like, cool, like I know that if I do this, I could become disoriented. maybe I take that opportunity to mitigate that hazard. It's later this week, right? Hazard, risk, and then mitigation. By maybe just turning on the autopilot for a minute, right? Then I'm gonna go get my pen. That way, if I do experience disorientation, I'm aware of it. Or when I feel it, I'm like, oh, I know what this is, right? My body is tricking me. My inner ear is not designed for this. And so that can help us override those sensations because we know what's happening. It's a really good point. Cool. Should we go on to E?
Elevator illusion is an abrupt upward vertical acceleration that may create climbing due to the auto lift organ. Sudden updraft feels like pitching up, downdraft is like pitching down. So the analogy I liken to this is like the Tower of Terror at Disneyland, or like a poster free fall at Six Flags. That's where the G's are taking you straight vertical up, or down.
Yep. I'm beginning to think we should like all go to like roller coasters and call it professional development. We'll like log ground training under AIM 8-1-5
And
at Six Flags. Exactly. And this is especially possible in turbulence. Guess what, folks? In instrument flying, we're going to be flying through the clouds. Very, very common to get turbulence through a cloud. Even you'll experience this like on a jetliner, right? Like if you're flying through a cloud layer, you'll notice you get some bumps. You go through a cloud. It's unstable. There's a different density of the atmosphere. There's all kinds of stuff happening. There could be updrafts. Oh, hi, Sophie. It could be updrafts or downdrafts happening. So this elevator illusion can definitely happen worse in instrument. There's a higher chance of it happening, especially when you're flying in clouds because of that extra turbulence. Cool. What's the antidote to the elevator illusion?
Trust your instruments, turn on the autopilot, look at your co-pilot, or double check.
Say your controls, your CFW. No, don't say that.
It's all yours.
Yep. Cool. You're seeing the theme here, right? Cool. Nice. Raul, do you want to do F?
Yeah.
Great.
Also,
Cool.
and also basically your insurance feel on like there. Also, right. Looking flat or I think that's the level horizon, but it's actually not. So that like keeps being in a like what's it called, the both flying between
CFIT.
Yep. And happen day or night. Stars and stars too.
100%, right? And this picture is from the night because again, in private pilot land, we're most susceptible to this false horizon illusion at night. But I love that you said also during the day, because now we're going to be flying during the day. We might be actually flying over a cloud layer, right? And that cloud layer is not necessarily even with the horizon. It might be bumpy, weird, whatever. It might be nice, evenly sloped up a mountain. And we could easily confuse that for the actual horizon. So that's an added risk of this illusion during instrument flight. You didn't necessarily have during private pilot.
I think the other day I saw this video where a pilot was using a water bottle to see if he was straight and level. Because
Yeah.
water stays, even though we're
Sure.
climbing, the water stays level. And
Yes.
all like, oh no, that's stuff. Right?
Yes. You know what else does that? The attitude indicator. The attitude indicator is basically that water bottle, right? It's a gyroscopic, or in our case, electronic version of a gyroscope, right? Of that water bottle, because the horizon is that line of water. So I guess if everything fails, just take out your water bottle, put it in the dash. Got your instant attitude, at least for roll information. You wouldn't have to have at least roll information. Please. Yeah. Control flight into terrain.
About it, like intentionally or humanly controlled flying into it.
Yeah, CFIT stands for controlled flight into terrain. It is a category of aircraft accident where you fly a perfectly good airplane into structure, an obstacle, a terrain, because of some pilot error, most often caused by some kind of illusion. So you're like, oh yeah, that's not the horizon. That's not the horizon. That's not. or you get caught in Coriolis, right? And you're like, oh no, that's not straight and level. That's not straight and level. More. Graveyard spiral. Okay. So like that's control flight into terrain. We have some technology built into the sling that helps prevent that. We have a terrain database built into the GTN 50 and the G3X that will sense if we're getting closer to terrain. It happens here often if I'm in it's rare, but sometimes you'll do left traffic for 29 or left. And you have to make that left base towards PV Mountain, towards PV Hill. And you'll sometimes hear the G3X say, terrain. You heard it? And it'll say terrain here in yellow, and it'll actually have a little inset in your MFD side of your G3X that'll show you a little map of color coded where's that terrain coming. Do not ignore that. Do not ignore that. That warning is there to save you. Say 2 more things that you need it. So what I recommend is when you hear that terrain, it should cue something to you. We don't want to like, it's called normalization of deviance when we're like ignoring warnings. So say terrain warning, terrain in sight, no factor. Just acknowledge it, right? Then you're good.
So terrain deviant?
It's a normalization of deviance is when you kind of get used to like doing something wrong. So then when like it actually happens, when the terrain warning is actually trying to save your life, you're like, whatever, I always ignore that. So that's what I mean. It's like when there's too many false alarms in a smoke alarm, right? Like you ever been in a school used to teach enemies, all these false alarms. It's like, eventually you're just like, do I really need to evacuate my whole class right now? Or should I wait 5 minutes? Meanwhile, the school will be burning down, right? So like normalization of deviance, it's like, yeah, it's always a false alarm, so I just figured. That's actually saved my life once. Did I tell you this story last round? I was flying at night. Night flight, by the way, is night flight on a moonless night is as close to IMC as you can get while still staying legally VFR. In fact, in some countries, you're actually not allowed to fly at night unless you're instrument rated. So it was a cloudless night. I had just done a wings training with a CFI. I was a year into my private pilot, so I wasn't brand new, but I was still probably sub 200 hours. And I wanted more night experience. I'd gone with the CFI, Santa Monica, Camarillo, Van Nuys, Santa Monica. 3 landings, 3 takeoffs, to a full stop. I get my night currency and get some night experience. So I did it with CFI, great. And the next week, I'm like, now I want to try it on my own. I go up solo. I'm going along Malibu. I'm going down into Camarillo. There's that little mountain range, like the edge of the Santa Monica Mountains right there.
Yeah.
And I just got disoriented. I just lost my situational awareness. It wasn't an illusion. I just lost my situational awareness. And I was talking to Camarillo Tower, and they're telling me the enter left base, runway 2, whatever it is there. And all of a sudden, I had a GTN 650 in that plane, and the GTN 650 says terrain. I'd never heard that before. I'd never been trained on it. And then it says terrain. It's like, that's weird. And then it says terrain, pull up. I watched enough like accident videos on YouTube to know like when you hear terrain pull up, you should do something. So I was like, okay, fine. So I pull up and the warning stopped. And I literally didn't think twice. And then I get home, pull up the track log. I import the track log into Google Earth. And I was like 200 feet from any mountain. 200 feet, a little hill. I was just too close to it. And I just lost. It was night. I couldn't see it. It's unlit. It's on the chart. I just lost my situational awareness. So the terrain warning can save your life from CFIT. But that would have been an example of control flight into terrain. Yeah. Yeah. I don't share that to scare you. I just share it to I want to normalize us all learning from our mistakes, right? This is not, none of us are perfect in this industry. How did I learn so much? I learned from my mistakes. Just hopefully we're trying to make mistakes we all walked away from. So that's why I'm like, if ever I'm with a student and the terrain warning goes off, I want to hear terrain in sight, no factor. That's, you don't want to normalize the deviance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the first story. There's a lot more stories, but the biggest one that struck me was when Kobe Bryant died.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was by the Camarillo Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in a helicopter with a CF alive. It was efficient and crane. That was a CF helicopter. So that was.
I haven't read the final report. Is that what they decided? It was about currency? Aeronautical decision making?
He like he's filed a special what's that called?
Special BFR.
Yes, special BFR, and then he haven't flew special BFR for almost like a day.
I haven't read the final report. The NTSB final report will be our, gold standard for
And
what
that's
happened.
public information.
Oh yeah, all the NTSB reports, it's all public. Oh yeah. And that's how we learn, right? They say that a lot of the regulations are written in blood. Like, why do we have the regs we have? Because there was a problem, right? And part of the reason this industry is as safe as it is because we learn from our mistakes. We have an NTSB that figures stuff out, and then we can learn from them and go from there. Yeah, we'll watch a couple of accident videos at some point in this course, but we learn a lot from other people's mistakes, and then we can improve our own safety. Cool. Thank you for that little diversion to CFIT. Nathan, you had something.
I don't know, I just heard it's gonna be over. But I always get it. Red base for here at 12.
290.
Right base. Oh, yeah, right base for 29 are right. Yeah, if you come in low, you'll get the terrain warning there too. That's correct. That's correct. Because it thinks that you're coming into PV Mountain, right? There's the terrain, the upsloping terrain. So if you hear it, just don't ignore it. All you have to say is terrain warning, terrain in sight, no factor, or terrain in sight, no factor, whatever it is. But don't train yourself to ignore it, because then the one time you need it on the moonless night in Camarillo, it could save your life. Cool. All right, so that was a nice little thing for Pulse Horizon. This is our first visual illusion, right? These were all part of our inner ear, our vestibular illusions, but that was actually a visual illusion. Cool. Thank you, Raul. All right, let's go on to number 3. Who had L? Where are the threes? Cool. Great.
It's almost most of the illusion has associated with New Year balance.
Yeah.
7 weeks as well. When you are doing, like, for example, IFR, we're doing standing turns, returns. And doing that in the holes or doing 360s, returns for over a minute, the body starts to feel like, oh, that's the stabilized horizon.
Yep.
And then when you try back to public flight, body was certainly like, hey, that's not the horizon, you're turning into a rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you will eventually lower the bigger spiral because you lower the way your body's for your instrument.
This is one I've experienced myself. It is powerful. It's powerful, right? You stay in that nice line, especially during training, right? When we're practicing basic attitudes with flying. I mean, I had you do lots of turns, right? It's like, okay, we're gonna do like a 360-degree turn now. Like that takes 2 minutes at 30 degrees per second. That's a long time for the fluid in your inner ear to settle down. And if you're perfectly coordinated, you should actually have all the force through your body going straight through, right? Like this, your inner ear is like, oh, you're completely seated flat, straight and level. So when you then pitch back out, you roll back out to what's actually straight and level. Now your inner ear is like, no. You're now moving that way. So it causes you to want to put that bank back in, but even more. You're like, oh, but my instruments. Come back, leans again, go back even more, and that's how they get the graveyard spiral. But that's so it's pretty powerful. What's the antidote to it? I'm not sure I would recommend that, actually. I'm not sure I would recommend that because that could induce the Coriolis illusion. So I would just say be aware of it, right? Trust your instruments. Yeah, I think that's a good point to be brought up, right? Like part of this is like, if we know it's about to happen, wow, I had to do a 180-degree turn on this procedure turn. I need to be aware of maybe the leans when I roll out. Or when I roll out, I'm like, oh, that feels weird. That doesn't match. Oh, leans. I really need to zone in on my instruments. Yeah. Cool. Any questions on leans? A. Nathan. Great.
It's at night, see a static light, and if you say on that static light, you to move it. Says on the end that the pilot error to follow the light that they perceive as moving and this to stay on course.
Totally.
And the solution, press your instruments, also CRF, you have a co-pilot or something. It's like verify that it is actually. So.
Love it. Love it. This is another visual illusion. Most prominent at night. Why? It has to do with the physiology of our eyeball. Welcome to your eyeball. Anybody seen this image? Maybe it rings a bell from like high school biology. This is the eye, right? So here's the front. It's like a cross section, like we cut it right in half. the lens of your the cornea of your eye, the lens, the iris, the lens of your eye. And then the cells that actually sense the light are in the back of the eye here. There's a bunch of like viscous fluid in here called the vitreous. And the cells in the back are what actually get activated by light. Got two kinds of cells in the back, rods and cones. So also PHAC, all in PHAC. The rods and cones are not evenly distributed. They're not distributed the same way across your field of vision. The cones are the ones that sense our color vision. They're the ones that have like very, very fine, they allow us to see like details. They are primarily, they're clustered around the center of our vision. So when I'm looking straight at you, Nathan, the part of you that sees like when I'm looking at your face is hitting the central part of my vision. That's called the fovea. And the fovea, if I'm just going to now draw on the board like a straight on view of the eye, right? Here's the iris, pupil, etc. The fovea is right here at the central part of our vision. So imagine this is the back of the retina. There's a bunch of cones right there. And in fact, there are almost no rods. The rods are the cells that sense the black and white. They're very sensitive to movement. They are evenly distributed except for at the fovea. At the fovea, like our bodies are designed to like just see detail, right? I want to be able to see that fruit in that tree that I need to pluck. I need to see that red fruit because that's the ripe one. That's how like evolution has trained our bodies. Because of this, we don't have very many cones at all in our central vision. In fact, almost none. The cones, since they do the night vision, right? The rods, since they do the night vision, they're the ones that are mostly seen at night. So autokinesis is largely caused because in order to see like little points of light at night, we actually have to kind of like do little micro movements with our eye in order for that light to actually come and activate our rods. So that's causing the autokinesis. A little deeper than last time. Any questions on that? Credit to I took a human physiology class in college. Finally coming together. Also, I have a special issuance medical because I have had experience of retinal detachment. I know a lot about retinas. You can ask me about if anybody else has a special issuance medical. I'll talk with you about that bonanza. Cool. So that's autokinesis. Mostly at night, right? I'm trying to think of like, is there extra risk in instrument? Can't think of one, but maybe one of you. It's mostly the beacon. Maybe the beacon. Maybe looking for a beacon through the clouds. Daytime, you've got enough light, then the fovea and all the cones there should be working. So not as much risk for. Really, it's a night.
Yeah. I remember on one of my night flights, wasn't hit at all.
Yeah.
And then
It's not a beacon.
that's not where the airport is.
That's not the airport. Not the airport. Yeah. So that's autokinesis. What's the antidote for it? Yeah. Yeah, I would also say, I mean, the instruments are not necessarily going to tell me. We do have one instrument that would say, you know, if we are in an area where ADS-B is required, we can pull up the traffic screen on the GTN 650 or the G3X to enable us to see, like, is that a plane out there or is it a star? Is it something else? I would also say, like, what the PHAC says is if you move your vision just a little bit off center to that light at night, then your cones are your rods are going to be able to sense it. So if you just look a little bit off, like a degree or two off center, then you'll actually be able to see it better in your just barely peripheral vision, because the cones are outside of the fovea.
Oh, or you could get excited because it might be a UFO.
Listen, I spent when I was in Albuquerque a couple weeks ago. I was with a guy who was like super into the UFOs, and I had never really been with somebody who was super into the UFOs. I was like, it's like he's crazy, and I listen more. Like,
You did good.
maybe I'm the crazy one.
You sure? You should tell them about it.
Yeah, that's what I should do. No, I don't want to ruin his fun. More fun if I just believe it. You guys, G. Go.
So this is related to the leads. It's if you have the leads and you're fermenting for it, you could start
pitching down and reduce altitude. Spirals. It's related to your air. Static gravic is whenever. Okay, so this is whenever you accelerate or decelerate, it'll feel like you're pitching up or pitching down. So if you accelerate, it makes your head go like this. It's like as if you're pitching up. And if you decelerate, your head will go forward, which makes it feel like you're going down. So you'll go opposite.
Great. What are the antidotes to these?
Trust instruments.
Yeah. Are there any particular, and Justin, you can answer this one maybe, any particular extra risks about these illusions in instrument flight that we didn't necessarily have in private? Fully VFR.
Cinematographic,
Maybe, I'm not sure.
How would you test your instruments on SEMO?
Cinematographic.
Yes.
How would you trust your instruments on cinematographic?
just make sure I'm pitched right, going at the right speed.
Attitude indicator, right? Attitude indicator, that's your primary pitch instrument, right? When you're just going straight and level. So attitude indicator, look, I guess also your altimeter, that could be potentially primary in some situations. We'll get to some primary and supporting in a second. But those would be good additives. Again, knowing about them is also good. I'm flying, I just started my multi-training. There's a long wait list, so I finally came up on the wait list. In theory at 9 o'clock, I'm flying a multi for the first time. And I'm not gonna have one Rotax engine, but two. So I can't wait to put those throttles forward and feel the somatic grab. Of heavy airplane. But once we fly jets, right? And or you're a fighter jet, right? Like the military pilots, we don't have Will, our CFII, who was joining us, CFII candidate who's joining us, who's former Marines. That I imagine, you put that throttle forward in a fighter jet, you probably get somatographic illusion real fast.
Also, when you're on an aircraft carrier,
And they shoot you out.
they have a catapult.
Yeah.
All the pilots, they don't even do anything but grab on and hold on for dear life. They don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because the illusion is so strong, they'll pitch forward.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So they have an auto.
Wow.
The throttle is to accelerate, and then the catapult launches them, and all they do is grab on.
Wild. Navy veteran, right? Yeah. Yes. Great.
That means that one's like the roller coaster knots, which is an accelerator.
I've
It's
been.
like a slingshot.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes wave to knots across countries. Oh yeah, you're there. That's as close as I've been recently. Since high school. Cool. Great. Those two pretty straightforward. Yeah. Let's do a couple of other visual illusions before we move on. Oh, actually, let me just say one thing. One other thing I'm going to try to do, especially more this round, is get you all to have the opportunity to share and teach for two reasons. One, you're going to have to do that in your check ride. Right? Like it's not going to be a multiple choice check ride. You've already passed the multiple choice on your written. Talked about the beginning class. So you are going to have to be able to explain stuff, to respond to questions. So it's good practice for that. The other thing is, again, y'all being on a professional track, you're going to be CFIs one day. The worst thing that can happen is like you get to CFI class and it's your first time ever holding the marker in front of people. So there's going to be some opportunities. I want this to be an environment where we can support each other, where it's okay to make mistakes, where it's okay not to know stuff. We can help each other out, because like getting some experience out the board, teaching, doing this kind of group work explanation is also really good to help you get ready for CFI. Already thinking ahead here. I'm like 3 ratings ahead for you, but that's what we're about. Cool. All right, let's talk about a couple others that aren't in ice flags. A couple of other visual illusions. Runway width illusion. Narrow runways can look, you can sometimes approach lower than normal, and wide runways higher than normal. Training out of an airport like this, where we get experience with 29er right and 29er left, which are different widths, it can kind of help calibrate us for this. But I did my primary out of Santa Monica, one runway, it's 150 feet wide. Where'd you do your primary?
The Miami Airport. So it's
75 feet.
It's a pretty small runway. I remember
Staying is 29er left.
I remember the wide runway.
Yeah, because that's a 200 foot wide runway. 200 foot. So you go from 75 foot to 200 foot.
Yeah.
So
you're landing like
exactly. because what happened in this visual illusion, the runway width is like, if you train on a 75-foot runway, or here, let's call it China right, you train on a 150-foot wide runway. Now you're a 200-foot wide runway. In your mind, you're trained, okay, I'm going to turn base when the runway looks about that wide in my vision. Right? I'm going to start to descend when the runway looks about this wide. So you subconsciously do that. And because the runway is wider, you need to be higher in order for it to look that same narrowness. So when the runway's when the runway's wide, you typically will come in higher than normal. I did my primary Santa Monica, 150-foot wide runway, just like 200 right. And the first time my instructor took me to Hawthorne, 75 feet, like El Monte, he's like, you're going to come in low? It's like, no, I'm not. It's like, you're going to come in low. No, I'm not. Come in. Up low. Right? Because I'm trying to make that runway look 150 feet wide when it's only 75 feet. So what's the antidote for this? Anybody can say. Okay, sure. So we've got an altimeter, right? So we've got some kind of thing there. In instrument flying, we might even have vertical guidance to help us. But what's another thing? You know, any kind of visual glide slope indicator, right? HGSIs could be VASI, a PAPI. There's all kinds of different ones, but any kind of visual glide slope indicator is also the antidote to that. Yeah, I think that one at Hawthorne was out of service that day. They actually flip that, but this is totally fine. It's not totally fine. It totally happens. Totally happens. False horizon we covered. Runway slope illusion, upsloping runway or upsloping terrain can create the illusion the aircraft's at a higher altitude than it actually is. Downsloping runways can have the opposite effect. So it does say in the chart supplement, if there is a slope on the runway, it's extremely pronounced at Catalina, the airport. Anybody landed at Catalina yet?
Okay, you get checked out.
You have to get checked out for a couple of reasons. One is that there is a strange runway slope illusion. So this is it 22? What's the runway number there? I can't remember. The western runway. The first 2/3 of it is upsloping, reaches a crest, and then it downslopes the last third. So when you're coming in, it creates all kinds of weird illusions. They do have a visual glide slope, a pulsing glide slope indicator, which is rare, but when it works, it definitely works. You should look up in advance how to use it. So it's not a typical 2 light or 4 light DASI PAPI situation. And so people come in and they're like, oh crap, I'm about to go over the edge of the hill, slam on their brakes, collapse their nose gear, when really they had another third of the runway after the crest of the hill. So there's a few different kinds of illusions there. Also, it's on a, what do you call that? Yeah, like a mesa situation. So that also creates weirdness because you're actually on pattern. You're like at 1500 AGL from the ground where you are, but you're actually on glide slope perfectly for the runway because the runway is like 1,000. You should go with the CFI, do 3 laps. It's great. It's like $30 landing fee. You pay once, you can do unlimited laps that day. So once you go out there, doing pattern work at Catalina, it's like ultimate privilege of flying in Southern California because it's gorgeous. And you'll do a lot of the instrument approaches out there as well. You won't land during the instrument approaches. It's beautiful.
It is 2-2.
It is 2-2? Okay, good. I'm glad I was right. Thank you. Thank you for checking. Featureless terrain. This is something. Did you have something else on? Yes. Yes. Depending on the wind. And also a lot of times the turboprops that do the cargo flights will take off runway 4. Right? They'll take off opposite way. So you got to be on your game. It's got to be. Got to be on your game. On your CFII check ride. CFII check ride is on one hand an easy check ride, on the other hand a hard check ride. Easy part is it's basically just an instrument check ride where you talk the whole time and you teach. But the hard part is you have to do everything yourself, including all the CTAF calls. And so a CFII check ride at Catalina is actually extraordinarily hard, in my opinion, because you have to fly the airplane, teach about what you're doing, and make CTAF, and pay attention to traffic and everything else. Once you're actually a CFI, your student's flying, and you can pay more attention. But it's Catalina. The approaches, week 4 we'll do approaches. They look simple on the chart. I actually think the Catalina approaches are among the more challenging in the area. People might disagree with that, but that's my thought.
For the CFI check ride, is there moments where the the DPE will act like a reckless student. And
100%. 100%. Yep. My double I check ride, he flew one of the approaches. Yeah. He flew one of the, and I taught him the approaches. He flew it. He messed up a couple times. Nope. 10 degrees to the left, capture the glide slope, do this. Nope, too high. Yep. All the things. Yep. And in my training, I had Garrett for my CFI for double I, and he was even worse. I was like, yeah, because when we're learning, we make mistakes. Again, going back to my story, right? Like none of us are perfect. We're not born instrument pilots. We have to learn how to do it. So that's the job of the double I, is to teach and to mentor and to coach and to keep you safe while you're learning. Yeah. Anyway, featureless terrain, if there's nothing out there, especially at night, you can come in higher or lower than you actually are. It's also true during the clouds, not just at night. You can have water refraction that can mess with your sensation of how high or low you are. Haze, fog, and lightning. Haze actually makes things look like they are farther than on a clear day. You can practice this if you're ever flying at Compton, those of you who did private here, and when you do your commercial, you do a lot of landing at Compton, you'll see that you'll turn base, you'll see the courthouse in the distance. On a hazy day, it looks way farther than it does on a clear day. Cool. Okay. Any questions on the illusions? Great. We're going to spend the next, it's going to be like 20 minutes starting to talk about basic attitude instrument flying. So this is how we actually go about flying by reference to the instruments. At the beginning, this should also be a little private pilot review. You needed at least 3 hours of flight by reference to instruments to get your private. The purpose of that training was primarily to make sure that if you did accidentally fly into a cloud, you could like do your 180 and not die. Now we're taking it to the next level. We're going to do this on purpose, on altitude, on navigation, and perfectly controlled. So just a couple of reminders. Basic instrument flying follows 3 steps: instrument cross-check, instrument interpretation, and aircraft control. This will be on the written like 8 million times. So the steps are cross-check, interpretation, and control. They have to be in this order, right? If I'm not looking at all my instruments, there's no way I can interpret them correctly and no way I can put the right control inputs. If I'm looking at my instruments but making the wrong interpretation, I might not put the right control inputs. And I actually have to do something about what I interpret in order to get the airplane to respond in the appropriate way. It's not rocket science, but it's sometimes helpful to like just say it out loud, right? First, put the instrument in your eyeballs. That's the cross-check. 2, interpret what your eyeballs are telling you. Oh, my attitude is changing. That must mean that I am in a climb or a descent, or I'm in a bank or a roll or whatever it might be. Interpret. And then 3rd, great. Based on that, I know that I actually want to be straight and level. Let me use some aileron input. Let me use a little more rudder. Let me change my pitch, whatever the proper control input might be. Cross-check, interpret, control. So let's start first with just the cross-check. The FAA has a number of different sort of approved methods for doing a cross-check. These are all in the instrument flying handbook. There's 2 primary handbooks for this class. Instrument, because there's a lot of stuff to do in instrument. Instrument flying handbook includes all the basic stuff about systems, the instrument cross-check, how to actually do this. The procedures handbook, instrument procedures handbook, is like departure procedures, en route procedures, arrivals, approaches, all those things. It's a whole separate handbook. So if you look in the instrument instrument flying handbook, this is all in there. There's the inverted V cross-check. This primarily you focus most of your attention on the attitude indicator. The attitude indicator gives you a lot of information. Gives me pitch, gives me band. So that's actually a lot. Then you go down here to your turn coordinator, back to your attitude indicator, then to your vertical speed, back and forth. This is the classic steam gauge. Where are my steam gauge people? Raul, you're a steam gauge guy. Who else is steam gauge? So that's how you do that. And Larry stepped out for a second. By the way, I should have said this at the beginning of class. If you ever need to take a break or whatever, just please go. You're all adults, so do maybe. Then you have the rectangular cross-check. This one now uses all of your primary, they sometimes call this the 6 path. right? You just go in the direction. Doesn't matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise, you're just going around the rectangle. And then my personal favorite, the one that I use, is the radial cross check. This is where my attitude indicator is primary. Then I switch to the airspeed, back to attitude. Turn coordinator, back to attitude. Heading indicator, back to attitude. Vertical speed, back to attitude. Altimeter, back to attitude. Radial cross check. On glass panel, this is how it looks, right? Attitude indicator, altimeter. Attitude indicator, turn coordinator. Attitude indicator, altimeter. Attitude indicator, vertical speed. Attitude indicator, heading, and nav information. You can do it in whatever order you want. The idea is that you're just coming back to, in the radial version, you're just coming back to that attitude indicator. It gives you so much information in the same. How fast should you be switching in any of these methods for the cross check? About 100 beats per second. Chris, what's the song?
Staying alive.
Stay alive, stay alive. That's anybody trained in CPR? That's a CPR song too, right? Like it's the same kind of. So it's like staying alive, staying alive. Exactly, right? So it's actually pretty fast. And one of the things that is really the hardest, I think, when you're first learning how to do this basic instrument attitude flying, is just learning to get that scan really good and what works for you. Maybe you're an inverted V person. Maybe you're a radial person. Maybe you're a rectangular person. That doesn't matter. What matters is, can you get that cross check in consistently, and can you actually keep all of the things in? Very common to become fixated on certain instruments. Oh crap, I'm 20 degrees off course because I was not including this in my scan, right? Or I was in a climb. Cool, I'm really watching my altitude. Oh crap, I'm at 65 knots, right? So that's very common. So the basic attitude instrument flying starts with the cross check. It is a skill. It is just a skill. You get better with practice. Any tips from people who've done some basic attitude instrument flying or things that helped you want to share? Yeah.
Well, for me, when I was doing sim, I like to have the flight director because that shows you what the autopilot would do if it was on, and I just try to so I can stay level. I follow.
Love it. Week 2, 3, 2. Week 2. I can't remember. I feel like myself as we do automation systems. We'll talk about the autopilot. It has a flight director feature built in, which if you have the mode set properly on your autopilot, will show you magenta crosshairs in your attitude indicator to indicate what the autopilot would be doing if you had it turned on. So if you're hand flying, you can do that. It's good. I recommend when you're first learning basic attitude instrument flying, have it off, because it can be distracting. And also, you already have enough going on. Like also programming the autopilot is just an added task that I don't think is necessary. Plus, the autopilot can fail. You need to be proficient at basic attitude instrument flying by hand without the flight director anyway. Flight director is not required equipment under 9125. So you will be licensed to fly and expected to be able to proficiently fly an aircraft without a flight director. Yeah, Larry.
Going from steam gauges to glass cockpit.
So this is, oh no, you did G1000. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so when I did my IFR training, I was taught that your eyes will always be working. So no matter what, your eyes are working, especially with steam gauges. So coming to the glass cockpit and your eyes not working as hard, because going from steam gauges, you have to go from inches, like inches to gauges.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you're always scanning, right? And then going to the glass cockpit, your scan becomes like centimeter.
Much more compact.
So it was a lot easier for me to go from steam gauges to glass cockpit, because now it's like, oh no, the VSI's, the trend is going down. I gotta fix it. The G3X has a turn coordinator. On the HSI. They're like, oh no. The trending is there. I better go back. So it's like, going from a steam gauges to glass cockpit, working so hard to working a little bit easier now, but still remembering that your eyes should not be fixated at any time. You should always be working. Like even when you have it on autopilot, you're still monitoring all of those things. Plus, you're doing extra things like setting up, configuring for the approach.
Yes. Yes. Amazing. 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 Good. It's even worse when you're a CF double I, right? Because then you're sitting in the right seat. And in a sling, I got lazy. So I'm like, I have this whole primary flight instrument that's not as far. I don't even have to look all the way over here. And now instructing at steam gauge, it's like not only inches, it's like an extra feet over there. But that's what we're licensed for, right? So we need to be proficient in all those things. Yep. Yep. Love it. Any other advice for people who are a little farther along in their training about basic attitude instrument flying, the cross check specifically?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now that you're teaching in Cessnas,
Yeah.
you can go into retro IMC.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And in theory, so those of you who are new to sling, right? It's a light sport. Light sports are not legally allowed to fly into IMC. It's a regulatory thing, not a capability thing. Our slings are probably better equipped for IMC than 50% of the other IFR capable aircraft on the ramp, but it's legally not allowed to. So.
And then
Yeah, but the Technum, the twin Technum, is standard certified and can go into IMC. So who knows? Maybe check with me in 2 hours. Maybe I'll have added a little more actual to my logbook.
you with the multi-engine, you're also gonna get your complex, right? Because it's a retractable landing.
What are the 3 requirements for complex anywhere?
ECDS, turbo.
Oh, well, not TCDS. It's all from the TCDS. What are the requirements in order for it to be complex?
Retractable,
Retractable landing gear,
turbo,
not turbojet, flaps, and constant speed prop. Exactly. Those are the 3 requirements for complex. Yeah.
So then it has to fulfill all of it to be.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct.
Just like the Diamond had 2 of them, but it wasn't constant.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. You have to have all 3. Good. So that's cross check. Then you have interpret, right? And interpret is literally just what do I see in front of me and what is it telling me about what's happening in my air? So here's an example ripped from the headlines of the written. By the way, did you know that you can actually get online, this is a physical copy. This is the Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement for the instrument rating. So everything in the written, like when it says refer to figure whatever, they're all in here. They're all in here. So you can actually sort of get ahead a little bit by saying like, oh, like where are all the instruments, the possible figures for instrument? You could literally sit down and like redo all of them. Also, that's what Shepherd is. But they are publicly available. This is what they'll give you in the written, just like if you're private, right? They're like, here's your book. Don't write it, please.
Yeah, that's basically the label.
Basically the playbook. So this is literally ripped from there, right? So instrument interpretation is starting here, because I'm a radio guy, right? I'm getting a lot of information here. I'm noticing I'm like, okay, 12 degrees pitch up, and I'm 5 degrees bank to the left, right? I can see that here, 12 degrees-ish, 5 degrees bank to the left. That's what that's telling me. Great, let's come over here. 80 knots. Cool, back to here, no change. Back to here. Looks like I'm in a standard rate turn to the left. See how the airplane is lined up to that first notch? That's the standard rate turn. And it looks like I need to add a little more right rudder, right? I'm not fully coordinated there. Step on the ball. Cool, back here. Down here to my directional gyro, my DG, my heading indicator. Looks like I'm on a 120 heading. When these arrows, they're showing you how the card is moving. Those of you who are not familiar with steam gauges, it's the actual card behind the airplane figure that moves, not the airplane itself. The airplane stays constant because I'm always referencing what's ahead of me. So this arrow is showing me that the card is moving to the right clockwise, which means the numbers are getting smaller, which means I'm turning to the left. Is that clear? That's a conceptual thing on the written that can sometimes trip people up who are used to slings, used to glass.
Card is.
Yeah.
Plane moving around.
No, so this orange thing, fixed. That is fixed. It's the card behind it that's moving. So in a couple of seconds, instead of saying 120, it's going to say east. And then a few seconds after that, it's going to say 6. And then a few seconds after that, I'll say 3. It's kind of conceptually weird because you're actually going like this, but the card is the thing that's moving, not the airplane. Sorry. Nathan? Oh, wow. Say that again, Nathan.
Is that also? Stay.
Yes, 100%, right? These like little things that like mimic the wings of the airplane are fixed. Correct. And Raul just pointed out we have actually an example of a directional gyro right here. So you can see the card is turning clockwise. Yeah.
The plane is like painted on.
It's like painted on the glass in this example. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Why does it have two knobs?
One knob is to move the heading bug. See how it has a heading bug in there? So that you can still have a heading bug. You should use it in the directional gyro. And the other is to actually adjust the card itself, because we're getting instruments tomorrow. This is a gyroscope in here, and gyroscopes suffer from a number of errors, including gyroscopic precession. And so in order to correct for that, you're straight and level, you can look at your magnetic compass and refine this to correct for any gyroscopic precession.
Everyone made this fellow 90.
Exactly, in the direction of rotation. Yeah. And some DGs that have worse precession than others. The one in the plane that I got my private in, terrible DG. I would never take it into instrument because, you know, you do a steep turn and it needs to be corrected 15 degrees from one steep turn. That's fake. It passed 91.205. It gets its angle every year. Sleep. Back to this, right? Cool, I've done that. So my heading is turning to the left. Cool, that agrees. Here I'm at my altimeter. It looks like my altimeter is my altitude is increasing. Cool, back here, that matches. I'm at 12 degrees nose up. Cool, here, my vertical speed, 500 feet per minute, and increasing. Cool, this makes sense, right? Oh, I didn't notice, but my airspeed is actually decreasing, right? So I'm in some kind of nose up attitude with a left turn. I have not added any power, or I haven't added enough, because I am losing airspeed, and my climb rate is increasing. My altitude is increasing, and I need more right rudder, because now I'm in that climb. When I'm in a climb, I get more left turning tendencies. I need more right rudder. But somebody's feet fell asleep there.
Does the location or like what the airspeed is indicating matter?
You mean this arrow?
Where the need more like the needle, like you see how it's 80?
Yeah.
Does that matter? Like
For the Ritzies?
Are you decreasing from 80 to
Yeah,
lower,
but
or
it's
you somewhere and then you got
no, it's saying that you're starting at 80 and it's going down from 80. And we don't know what kind of aircraft this is. We can make some guesses based on the markings on the airspeed indicator. Just a little private pilot review. What does the bottom of the green arc indicate on an airspeed indicator? At what configuration? At what? Not at landing. Clean, right? The bottom of the green arc is stall speed at clean configuration. Yep. Or sometimes they call it VS1, some kind of stated configuration. But in a sling and most of our single engine trainers, that's clean. What is the bottom of the white arc telling us?
Yes.
VS0, which is what, Sean? What's that? Stall speed at landing configuration, whatever the specified landing configuration is. So in a sling, flaps 3, gear down, props full forward, like that's what that would mean. Yeah, so we can at least have some signal here. It's like, okay, cool, well, we're getting close to stall. I'm not imminently going to stall, but I need to make some changes in my orientation. Which takes us to control, right? That's the third thing. First cross check, then interpret, then control. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to put in some more power, maybe pitch down. Definitely need to add some right rudder. That's control. That is not rocket science, folks. That's just based on your experience as private pilots or soon to be private pilots, you know, putting in the right control input based on what you see in the machines.
RPMs are also high.
Yeah, we didn't look over here because I don't know why, but you should be also checking your engine instruments. But you can see over here the RPM and the manifold pressure. Again, we don't know what kind of airplane this is, but it's showing what, 5,200 RPM? I mean, even in a sling, that's pretty much full throttle at sea level. And a manifold pressure, not quite to the red line, but pretty high. So maybe we're already at full throttle, to be honest. Looks like it might be. We're decaying airspeed. So I'm already at full throttle. And I'm decaying my airspeed. What might be a couple of control inputs would be good to get this climb going better.
A little bit of down.
Yeah, just decrease your pitch a little bit. I'll bring our VSI back down a little bit, right? Maybe a little more right rudder. Did you know CFIs actually get paid an extra 5 cents every time we say right rudder?
That's why my instructor keeps saying I don't use enough of it.
Correct, exactly. Actually, the first time I ever got told left rudder was when I was transitioning to the right seat. And the sight picture for landing, I was like, student pilot again. Sight picture is different. It's wild. It's only like a 1.5 foot difference in the flight deck, or 2-3 feet difference. It makes a world of difference in the sight picture. And I was coming in, and he's like, left rudder. I'm like, what? Literally had never heard that from an instructor. I needed left rudder. Yeah. Just different sight picture. Cool. That's cross check, interpret, control. Any questions on that? Cool. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is finish up the 2 methods now for the actual control part, right? There's control and performance, and there's primary and secondary. Primary and supporting method of doing the control and these things, the actual basic attitude instrument flying. I am going to have tomorrow new content. Those of you who have done the class before, chart where we're going to talk about the actual settings that we use in a sling for control and performance. So that'll be new content tomorrow. Tonight, if you want to brush up on this, you've got the slides, you've got the instrument flying handbook that will have all the information on cross-check, interpret, and control. We'll cover more of that tomorrow. We're also going to dive into instruments tomorrow. I know the theme today was trust your instruments. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about all the way the instruments can fail us and how to recognize that. So that's also something you have to be proficient in. And you'll have to fly at least one approach in your check ride partial panel, failed instruments. So that'll be tomorrow. Any questions? Okay, here's how I want to end. It's Otto's first day at Sling. I would like to take a moment for those of you who've been at Sling for a minute. Do you have any advice or like weird quirks or things that somebody on his very first day should know at Sling? If you're like, wow, I wish somebody on my first day had told me fill in the blank. And while you're doing that, it's
The restroom in the hangar doesn't work.
well, yeah, that's unfortunate. Please, for the love of God, write down where you park the plane. At least 40, 45, and some of the tie downs are half a mile away. I'm not joking. No, you can walk half a mile to your plane. So please, for the love of God, please fill in your where you park that sucker.
I did. I went all the way there. It wasn't there. I came back and it was right here in the alley. I was like, dude. Oh,
Any other advice?
did you say it? Oh, yeah.
Some of them have a stiffer throttle, some of them the throttle is just so loose that it's just
My old school, like one of the planes, the stall is like basically go
You can mute it.
yeah.
you can adjust that.
You can mute it. I just,
Some of them can be a little bit really stiff, just be careful with that, and also some of the brakes. Really stiff as well, if it's too stiff, just don't push too hard on it because
oh,
I
don't
flew
raise,
in 2 planes and 2 brake cylinders fell on me, so I went through it all went over.
don't ride the brakes because then you'll get that on that tire.
Don't ride the brakes. Also, don't ride the brakes while you're taxiing, right? This goes for all aircraft.
Yes.
Like, you're going too fast, pump the brake, slow down, release the brake.
Did you have pedal brakes? Or
Hold the
did you
brake,
have any-
release the brake. You had toe brakes on that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so it's something we're gonna be able to do because God knows we're going to
Thanks for coming, Angeline.